So in this video today, I'm going to re-look at the Quest 3 because it's got even better in 2026, and since we've got the Steam frame on short finals, well, it's a good time to look at the best accessories that really transform the headset, and then I'm going to talk about how it may compare to the Steam frame. So forget about your Varia XR4s and your Somnium VR1s. This video is about the Quest 3, which continues to be probably the best value PC VR headset out there, especially for flight simulation. So let's get into this. So the first thing that's important to all VR headsets is lens inserts. Protect those lenses. And this is a great segue into today's sponsor, which is VRWave, because they offer a tailor-made solution to your lens inserts, and they cover a wide selection of VR headsets such as the Quest series, Pimax, PSVR2, HTC, Pico. Now, even if you don't wear glasses, it's important to protect your lenses, and of course if you do wear glasses, then it makes it all day comfortable. You can have blue light filter, and they also account for astigmatism, nearsighted and farsightedness. So check out my 5% discount in the notes below. And there you are, folks. Even though VRWave are a sponsor, they're also essential for your Quest 3. So get some Plano lens inserts, or if you wear glasses, definitely get your prescription dialed in so you never have to worry about scratching those lenses. So what's the next thing that transforms the Quest 3 for me? Well, this has to be probably the most essential add-on of all the ones I'm showing today, because for flight sim fans, of course, watching this channel, the biggest issue with the Quest 3 or even Quest 2 or Pico headsets is battery life. Even with a battery powered strap, you're still really at the mercy of that battery running out. But not anymore with this new upgraded link cable from AMVR with a separate charging port. And this is actually a big deal because you never have to worry about battery life ever again with this cable. The big party piece for this particular cable is the fast charging, which keeps your headset powered all day, and it doesn't allow the battery to go below a certain level of charge. And it's really striking how the quality is absolutely top notch, yet the cost is around £25 off Amazon. Now, this particular cable has been upgraded from their existing link cable, and as you can see here, it now has a very flexible braided housing which is long lasting and really feels good. In terms of the actual speed of the link cable, it can produce a stable 5 GHz per second transfer for smooth VR gameplay. But here's the really clever thing: it has a battery protection chip with smart power control that prevents overheating and overcharging. Now, I've also tried this with the Play for Dream, and it also works really well, especially with that headset. The battery does go down quite quickly. This cable keeps it fully charged at optimum levels to ensure that the battery life is not strained. If you consider how much the official Oculus or Meta link cable costs, this is a small drop in the ocean when you consider this will extend your battery life and also your flying sessions. So yeah, definitely grab yourself a link cable, because for the Quest 3 or even Pico 4, Quest 2 and 3S, you just don't have to worry about the battery life ever again. Now, keeping with AMVR, I'm also a fan of their facial interface, which gives you a very nice field of view whilst giving optimum comfort, really, because there's 2 different foam replacements and each one feels very nice. I'm not quite sure what happened to VR Cover, which used to be the standard for Quest accessories, but in any case, AMVR seem to have really knocked it out the park. I've had mine now for well over a year and a half, and it still looks new and still feels very supple on the skin. So highly recommended, because in my opinion, the Quest 3 out of the box is actually one of the worst and most uncomfortable headsets I've ever worn. But with the AMVR facial interface, I must admit that's made a huge difference to me. Now, I guess sticking with comfort and battery life, I still personally recommend the Orbica battery head strap, which again I've had ever since I got the Quest 3, pretty much anyway, but it still holds the charge really well. You get a very nice amount of battery life, I think up to about 5 hours. I remember doing a test once where I actually flew for 5 hours on a video. I'll link that in the notes below. That's with the Quest 2, but it has the same design for the Quest 3, and it makes it very comfortable as well. Of course, there's also the Bobo M3, I think it's called, but personally for me, I prefer this Orbica head strap. It just does the job, and it's very easy. It even has a nice battery indicator at the back of the head strap as well. So highly recommended. You know, it's funny because making this video has reminded me of how many great accessories we now have, which makes the Quest 3 feel more premium. I admit, this headset is pretty phenomenal now. These accessories do add to the cost though, but they do make a difference. Anyway, let's just quickly talk about the Mecha extendable controller grips because, well, a lot of manufacturers do these. I personally prefer these because they fit over my big hands, you know, because a lot of these sort of controller grips, they're just too tiny. And of course, if you're playing walkabout mini golf or fighting zombies or whatever, or having a really bad day in the flight deck, then at least the controllers will stay put on your hands. So definitely recommend these. They come with fast charging batteries as well as a very nice lead, which again just makes it a lot easier to just quickly plug them in, charge them up and go flying. Or fight some zombies, or play Beat Saber, whatever you want to do, because the Quest 3 is so versatile. And that really is something that needs to be said about the Quest 3. It can do mixed reality games. It can do high-end flight simulation with pretty decent image quality with those fantastic pancake lenses. And you can have amazing performance with virtual desktop. That is the other thing that I need to mention here. Virtual desktop, in my opinion, is still the best way to use the Quest 3 because then you enjoy all of the fantastic wireless feeling of feeling free from cables, but you have really great performance with SSW, that is their motion reprojection technique. Virtual desktop is an absolute must-have, and soon I'll be posting a new VR settings guide for the Quest 3 for both MSFS 2020 and 2024, so look out for that. Now, I can't end this video without mentioning Studioform, which are an absolute mainstay in the VR space, especially when it comes to all your comfort mods and accessories. Recently, they're upgrading a lot of their comfort straps, and when it comes to the Quest 3 or any VR headset, the balancer kits on the back of the head as well as the Apache straps makes a huge difference. It really transforms your headset. So I would highly recommend, whether you are a Quest 3 owner or not, to check out Studioform. Honestly, they are superb. I'm trying to think actually, I think all of my VR headsets, even the Big Screen Beyond, has one of their mods because it just really stabilizes the headset. And I think I still have a discount code for you guys as well. You lucky people, go check the link in the notes below. So now you know how I run my Quest 3 in 2026. How do I feel it compares to the Valve Steam Frame, which is on short finals very soon? Well, without going too technical into the details, such as for example, the Steam Frame utilizes a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which is around 25 to 30% faster in terms of its GPU and around 50% faster with its CPU. It also has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Comparing that to the Quest 3, well, here we've got a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I think most of that extra leverage in performance is going to be used with the eye tracking, because that's one of the big deals with the Steam Frame, is it will have eye tracking. That means it can feasibly use transport foveated rendering, which means the bitrate will be way better and a lot more improved than the Quest 3, which only can have fixed foveated rendering. I have shown a video of this using the Play for Dream, and I must admit it is pretty damn special. In terms of the optics, well, you're looking at 2160 per eye with the Steam Frame. Comparing that to the Quest 3, it is a little lower to be honest, but one thing the Quest 3 has up its sleeve, that is excellent pancake lenses, and I'm going to call it, I don't think the Valve Steam Frame is going to beat the Quest 3 for optics. I've just got a feeling, folks, because nothing has so far. What do you think? Now, the big one here, and this is my personal favourite feature of the Quest 3, and this is mixed reality. It's so good that even the RAF use it now to train the Spitfire pilots to work up their display routine at RAF Coningsby. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, please do check it out. It is beyond cool. And I have shown many times the capabilities of what this means for flight simmers. You can have high quality colour pass-through and use your whole surroundings or mask your own cockpit so you're able to see all your controls. Now, I am aware that the Steam frame is going to have an option down the road to have a colour pass-through, but at the time of this recording, all we really know is it's going to ship with a very lackluster monochrome sort of grayscale pass-through, which in 2026 is a huge disappointment. Also keep in mind that the Steam frame is going to be a lot more money. We don't know exactly, but we're expecting at least around £800 to £900. That's way more than the Quest 3 even kitted out with all the mods I've shown today on this video. In terms of the ecosystem, well, that's probably a separate video, and as a flight sim headset, all we really want to know in this video is how is it going to perform. Well, in my opinion, I think it will have the edge visually thanks to the new foveated streaming technology, but the Quest 3 won't be far behind, especially with virtual desktop. In my opinion, the Quest 3 is still a solid choice, especially if you can get it on a discount, which I'm sure will happen quite a bit this year. So if you haven't got one yet, maybe just wait around for a deal on one. But even if you don't, honestly, the Quest 3 continues to be a phenomenal headset in 2026. And probably the wise thing to do right now is to wait it out, because I will have a review on the channel as soon as I can get my grubby hands on one. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been my updated thoughts and impressions on the Quest 3, also with my favourite accessories. I think it's going to be a very special and interesting time this year, especially with the Steam frame coming as well. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.